Overall, it's been a fluctuating market. If we don't have these adjustments periodically, markets would completely collapse.
Perth's property market in 2014 won't make the pages of history, but according to REIWA President David Airey, it wasn't all bad either.
It's really been, on paper, a reasonable year. Growth looks like it'll settle around the 5 to 6% mark across the Perth metro area in terms of house prices, so that's about 0.5% a month. That's pretty steady growth, double inflation, at least double inflation.
The best performing suburbs tended to be at the lower price range.
Now, people have been trading down more than they've been trading up.
That's interesting, isn't it?
An unusual trend, and one that's really started to come out in the statistics now, where people have said, oh, we might have a cheaper property. And this is where interest rates have been the lowest in my lifetime. And most people watching their lifetime, they never would have seen these sort of 4.5% interest rates are very low. Wages are still quite good. So that says consumer confidence, people are very cautious about what's happening in the market.
Here are the top 10 growth suburbs of 2014. Swanbourne topped the list with 19.7% growth. Eden Hill 19%, Kewdale 17.6%, Wembley 17.2%, Langford 16.3%, Alfred Cove 16.1%, Coolbellup 15.7%, Medina 15.7%, Riverton 15.2%, and Balga 15.1%.
We've got suburbs like Coolbellup, Langford, Eden Hill and Balga with extraordinary growth between 15 and 20% in some of those suburbs over the year, which is very much gets back to the point I made about demand for cheaper properties, particularly from first home buyers.
The top end of town hurt the most when it came to growth, with some suburbs dropping in median prices. Mount Pleasant and Ardross fell 12.8%, Callaroo -7%, Cottesloe -6.1%, Wembley Downs -5.5%, Burns Beach -4.2%, Mount Claremont -3.2%, The Vines -2.4%, Osborne Park -2.2%, and Alkimos -2%.
The timing in the market has put a few properties into negative return for this year, including Cottesloe, Callaroo, Ardross, Mount Pleasant. An interesting mix, but they're not big drops. And you've got to look at that in context. This is a measure over just 1 year. We really need to look at real estate markets over 5, 6 or 7 years. The reality is, with the positives and the negatives, we've still had 5 to 6% growth. So whilst Cottesloe this year may not have performed as well as a nearby suburb like Swanbourne, it'll probably change next year.
First home buyers were drawn to building new homes thanks to a shift in the grant system favouring builds.
First home buyers used to choose an established home in 7 out of 10 cases. That's now dropped down to 50-50. So that's been the result of the government's, you might say, persuasion with the first home buyers grant to move people to a new build.
The top 5 suburbs for first home buyers were Baldivis, Byford, Wellard, Ellenbrook and Alkimos. The winners in the 2014 market were tenants. The average price of rents across the city fell by 4.3%, or about $20 a week. The median rent is now $450 a week. The biggest fall in rents was in the Perth CBD and Fremantle.
We haven't seen this since the mid-2000s, and this is an unusual trend, a very rare trend, I should say, that we see rents dropping. But you've got to take a measure over 5 or 6 years. Rents were accelerated through 2010, 11 and 12. Even if there's some drops now, they're still well ahead of where they were. So a long-term investor is still getting a very good yield, a very good return on their property.
David Airey says this year can be described as a buyer's market. There's currently around 13,500 listings on the market, and the average time to sell a home is between 50 and 60 days.
There has been a strong market in a lot of areas and a lot of periods, but it's just a bit like the stock market. There's been a lot of fluctuations over the year, and they will iron themselves out over the longer term.